got a question for you. Should I play a Careless Whisper by George Michael, or should I play the Force theme from Star Wars by John Williams in this video? I'm going to be toying around with our new tenor studio saxophone. This is a beautiful ultra deep sample library coming from our Studio Sax trio, which is this triage of 3 saxophones, 2 tenors and 1 baritone, each ultra deep sampled. We decided to just take the first instrument out of that collection, which is our tenor sax number 1. This is probably the one that speaks most broadly and emotionally to me. Like, it just feels right and works in many types of context of music. It's a good sort of general instrument, and make it into an exclusive standalone release. When I talk about ultra deep sampling, as you can see in this video here, it's not just deep sampling the articulation sets. Like, we have multiple types of staccatos and staccattissimos and dynamically layered legatos and arcs and all sorts of complicated, unique patterns that you can't just do with multi-samples, and then all the multi-samples on top of that. But it's not just that with ultra deep sampling for me. It's also the emotion in the instrument. Like, it feels right in the keys. It sort of shimmers on the edge of your fingertips and just works, and you can command it in a fluent way. The playability is there. That's the sort of 2 different things. So you have a vast set of articulations, but you also have the really beautiful ability to just feel the instrument. And the saxophone is a really difficult instrument to sample, because you can do a generic sample, as we've heard many times, which sounds good, but it doesn't have that human element to it. And in order to get the human element, you can't really use physical modeling or sample modeling. You need a really good player to actually record, to get all the non-linear nuances of everything that goes on when you play a complicated instrument like the saxophone. So that's why we also like to ultra deep sample these things, because you have every single articulation you could probably dream of. I'll show you in this video here. It goes way deep, but more importantly, it's all infused with emotions, and it just feels right in the door. Super excited to show you. I say we just get some sax magic going in the door. So that was the legato that you just heard. It actually contains 3 different dynamics. So if I just play here in the keys through the dynamics, I'm going to go from soft to middle to hard, and you can hear the different phrasing based on what dynamic you're doing. So this is a 3-layered legato patch. It's a chunky one. I just love this high note here. You can really, that's one of the, you can hear the player in there, like, it's not just like, it's, that's what I mean when I talk about ultra deep sampling and all the emotions connected to it. You just feel it on the keys. But let me take you through a bunch of the other articulations here. We have a variety of short notes, from staccatos to different types of staccattissimos, Marcato, sustains, the legato you just heard, trills. We also have these 3 other modules here with arcs, a variety of different effects, and then also a variety of different performance effects. If we click here on the empty slot, you can see that we have these traditional articulations. That would be all the short notes over here. We have the arcs. We have the performance notes here. Those are the guys you see over here. And then we also have a variety of different effects, runs, scoops, all the cool things you could do with the saxophone. And that's a part of the ultra deep sampling as well. These are not just articulations. A lot of them are using a vast amount of round robin and velocity layers as well. So you can really do a lot of cool things when it comes to phrasing and get that natural variation you get in real life. But let's just get into the short notes here. There's also a big difference between our two Staccattissimos. Let me just put them side by side here. The second one is actually a little bit tighter and shorter in its sound. So combined with the staccato, Staccatissimo 1, Staccatissimo 2, and Marcato, you're pretty well covered for short notes. But as I mentioned, it's not just a Marcato. For example, this one is also soft, so you don't have to go like, you can also go. We also have two different types of sustains in the library, normal sustains and sustains with vibrato. I personally gravitate towards the legato instead because that's more fun if I want to play sustains, but we have them in there. I have no idea why I always end up doing like weird, like. Maybe just because I can. We also got whole note and half note trills in the library. But that's just the first little proportion of the library. Let me also show you our arcs. So again, you can take a sustain or legato and move the mod wheel and emulate those type of expressions. I personally like having both options. There is something special going on here, especially when you have an arc that contains three different dynamics from piano to mezzo, mezzo forte, and up to fortissimo as well, all layered on the keys and in three different tempos. It just works. If you just listen here, I'll just go through the velocities. You know, when I talk about like the shimmering of your fingertips on the keys, that's what I mean. You know, it doesn't take a lot to just hold them down, but you can just feel the samples. You know, it's easy and it's the way it should be. We shouldn't have to always sit and move a million dials around or have breath controllers. It should just work right on the keys. You can express more in the arcs with the mod wheel if you want to do that as well. And of course, as with any saxophone library with respect for itself, you also need the dirty flutter tongue. Like real 80s porn. We also have these super cool scoops. That's another variation of the sax. Again, you can move your pitch bender and do MIDI bending, but sometimes a scoop needs to be like the Scooby way, if you know what I mean. you can also scoop a little bit faster. And then we got a bunch of different runs. The runs I've recorded both in fifths and in multiple types of octaves, up and down and so forth. Too much to show you. And it's cool, even on the runs we have round robin. And it just makes it more natural again to use all these articulations because they're that ultra deep sampled. And last but not least, we also have our performance bank containing 6 different types of multi-sampled performance articulations. Again, you had the staccatos, the 2 different staccattissimos, the Marcatos, but sometimes there's interconnected legato between individual notes, so it's not necessarily note transitions, and those are connected in a way we can't even do with multi-sample. So in order to make sure that you had every avenue of short note stuff together, both when it comes to deep sampling of multi-samples and deep sampling of phrases, we just want to offer it all so you can essentially outlive your wildest 80s dreams. You know, in fact, the latest album by The Weeknd is using awesome saxophone solos. So who would have known the sax is back? And this library has that sort of poppy sound as well, especially the performance articulations here. I have no idea why I'm playing the tuplets like a synthesizer. Maybe because I can. Interesting. They're almost a good run building tool. And that's the nice thing about round robin and velocity, even on phrases. You get to do things like without getting the dreaded round robin effect. That's ultra deep sampling in essence, just avoiding those normal things. You know, I dread with samples when you can hear the machine gun, meaning the same sample repeated multiple times. It just doesn't sound that great. Even stuff like that, so you can get it to fit with your spiccato composition. You know, it's just and you can also control the speed of this. You have to be one hell of a fast tongue to do measured tremolos on a sax this fast. But that's the beauty of a computer. That's the beauty when we can take things into another realm. We can not only ultra deep sample, but we can also get unique textures like, wonder what I can do with measured tremolos.